All right. G'day, peeps.
Hello.
Welcome to another episode of Tommy's Adelaide podcast.
Is this episode 3?
It is.
Oh, well, cheers to that.
You're better at maths than I was. I had to figure out which episode it was.
There's so many of them, I guess.
Good to have you on board. Everyone, Jackson Grant, local comedian.
You wouldn't know me.
He's hilarious.
But I live in Adelaide, so
yeah,
I qualify for the podcast, the Adelaide podcast.
That's it.
Is it about Adelaide people or about Adelaide?
Because the point of the podcast, mate, is to put light on local artists, and not like yourself and me in this, for people that are are doing really good stuff in the arts across all mediums, and I'm trying to get them, more fans and more spotlight on.
Right. It's about
because there's so much in the arts that is happening across Adelaide that doesn't get enough light that it deserves.
Yeah.
Even yourself, I feel what you're doing in the arts is hilarious. So you deserve more fans. So hopefully, a few cunts will see this and they'll probably get to your show, man.
Yeah. Well, I thought this was about Adelaide, so I was hoping
it is about Adelaide.
I thought people from the Campbelltown Council might be able to hear some of my complaints about the hard rubbish.
Go on, what's the complaints? They might hear.
There's not enough pickups, I've got all this furniture to go out and bloody... But, that's fine if it's about art,
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
funny.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway.
I'm not joking. Anyway, I listened to episode 1 with Jono Mackay, and I'm not happy with what he said about Nickelback. He said that...
Oh, you like Nickelback?
No, I do, yeah. He said they were bad, and I really like him, like, if today was your last day, tomorrow was too late, would you say goodbye to yesterday? And as a kid, I could never tell the difference between them and the Foo Fighters, right? I heard them doing that song like, hey, you're the pretender, and I was like, fuck, Nickelback have gotten good. They've really improved. Because Dave Grohl, that Canadian guy,
around your ass, ba-doom.
That was someone else. That wasn't a Nickelback. That's like
I like your pants around your
that's
feet.
A different. That's like
wasn't that the Nickelback?
Something Cherry or something. I think Buck Cherry or.
That's another similar Buck Cherry. They're actually similar.
Yeah. That's the bands. Yeah, they do that. That I love the way. A lot of like gravelly bloody vocalists around in America.
I'll be honest, Nickelback, I got sick of all the ones they thrashed, right?
Yeah.
But the best songs are the B-side ones that you don't hear on the album. They're the best ones.
That's where the emotion is. That's where their real vision. I mean, they had a lot of things to say.
There's some heavier stuff
about the Syrian civil war, which I was really surprised about in their B, and you wouldn't know about it because everyone. That's why they get trashed. They're just so political on their B-sides. No, I haven't fucking listened to that much Nickelback.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll travel.
I liked him as a kid. Oh,
anyway, we'll travel.
That's the music review segment of the podcast.
So, how long have you been performing comedy for, Jack?
So about 2.5 years I've been doing stand-up. Like I started just before COVID hit.
You've been doing it longer than me, so...
Well, when did you start doing stand-up?
Mate, literally just over a year.
Okay.
June last year was my first gig.
Yeah.
I started doing a few song parodies on YouTube and shit, but actual stand-up comedy was June last year.
Yeah. So you've been more productive than me. You've been making more waves because I don't do enough shows.
I don't know about that, Jackson.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. No, I don't know. I would say we're pretty much on par. I actually think for how long you've been going, you're actually making waves yourself. I think you're sending yourself down a bit there, to be honest, man.
But anyway, I like your stuff because you have a similar sense of humour to me. And
absolutely.
Definitely.
And I won't forget that the first time, was it at the...
Enigma Bar, I think.
That's where it was. You approached me, you seen what I did on stage. And, mate... I love it when people approach me, man. Like, some people get all weird, maybe I shouldn't approach them and they might not want it. I love it. I love it when people come up and they appreciate what I'm doing, especially when you're starting out. That's the whole reason I do it. It's like, actually, someone appreciates what I'm doing. That's great. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Oh, no worries. Well, I got on this podcast, so...
Yeah.
It was the long con. It was a 12-month plan.
Yeah, well, we got there eventually.
And now I can reveal my true agenda, which is...
World domination?
Well, but firstly... I'm selling these Tiger beer coasters. If you want to buy one of these
Jackson Tiger beer.
Hard to tame. I came up with this logo and this motto myself. It's quite funny. Yeah, well, that's the next one. Hard to tame in bed is the next one of these stubby holders that we're going to be putting out.
My next one's BWS.
What's
bullshit, wanking, and shit.
Oh, okay.
Jokes.
Yeah, shit jokes.
So yeah, that's mainly what I do. Bullshit, wanking and shit jokes.
Oh,
that's me. BWS. Right.
It's better than blowing, wanking and sucking, because that was the other beer holder that we were going to do. The
equally as sexual.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about BWS is you can go there.
They're a sexy joint.
You can buy Golden Oak goon bags from there, or you can just look at the logo and think. Fucking awful, dirty thoughts.
Yeah.
And
you know what I found?
I think the orange in the logo just makes your mind go.
And I'm not even gay, but I've been through there a few times, and I've seen some guys that have got the patchy bald spots on their head, and I'm looking at the advertising, and I'm looking around at all the sexy advertising and their stuff, and I'll say to them mate, you're a bald patch, mate, hot. Fucking brothers, and they look at me all weird. I'm like, mate, you started it with your sexy advertising and your shiny bald spots on your head, and now you're weird about my fucking sexual advances towards you as a male. But I'm not gay.
Yeah. How many stories have I heard of it? I'm not gay.
They started
but when I walk through the doors of a BWS store, well,
that I think that's an exception.
Yeah. It's like...
And it's so blokey. You meet some blokey guys in there where it's like, if I was gay, I'd have sex in here.
Yeah.
They walk in, this massive beard, high vis on, hey, you just knocked off work. Yeah, mate, just getting a few beers. Want sex with me now?
I think that's where BWS... That's how BWS can beat Dan Murphy's, is they just become gay club. You just walk in and then suddenly no rules.
But it doesn't matter because it's blokey.
Yeah, because it's blokey.
Mate, did you have sex? Yeah, but we were drinking beer.
It's the most heterosexual gay sex you can have in the Southern Hemisphere. In BWS.
Fucking hell. Oh, I love it. I like the band too, man.
Yeah, we got something there. Yeah. And
it's not gay.
It's not gay,
but it's chemistry.
I'll get a call from Woolworths Group tomorrow, and they'll be like, "Listen,
it's chemical chemistry, not sexual." All right, guys, we're the ones at home. Right. So we'll carry on. We'll change the subject.
Please buy the hard to tame stubby holders.
Yeah, and Strange Carl's bullshit wanking and shit stubbies.
Strange Carl's bullshit emporium. It's just a new store opening.
Say, Jackson.
Yeah.
During your time doing your stand-up during your 2 years, which is 1 year longer than how long I've been doing it, apparently.
Yeah.
What have been your personal high points so far? Your watermarks, man. You must have a couple. What have been where you look back and that's the shit where it's yeah, man.
Well, awesome. I started off the first few times I just did kind of one joke because I didn't want to risk bombing twice in a row. So I think my first set, I think it was about my 10th when I did 2 jokes. That was big for me. And I got
2 jokes in one set.
I got 2 laughs. No, I'm kidding. I don't really have, because I just do open mics and I haven't done a set longer than 10 minutes. So.
But what has been same actually. I think the longest set I've done was 15 minutes.
No, there we go.
But
this is why I host the podcast.
Oh, okay. Well, what's your... Okay, then.
My best story from doing stand-up is at the Enigma bar, and you were probably there, when there was that cunt going crazy to everyone. He was like a heckler. But because it was in the middle of COVID, and everyone had an opinion about COVID and the COVID vaccines and stuff, and he would have an opinion too. It's just oh, you believe in that shit, do you? Like, you know, when someone would say a joke, and I'm like, fucking, you know, right on, man. Maybe the wrong forum for it, but you know,
I might have been there, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, maybe it was you. Oh, that's right. No, that's how we met. No, there was this guy who was sending everyone up, and I was really late in the bracket. And the thing about Enigma Bar is that's like a 3-hour thing. Those ones were really long.
The beer boy one.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have a beer until after I'd done and I think I was second to last. So I had one beer and then they fucking kicked us out.
Oh,
and I was like, well, that was a pretty uneventful Friday night. But anyway, no complaints, because this guy was heckling everyone, like giving everyone a whole spiel about what's really going on in the world. And I'm like, yes, man, I've got so much. I'm thinking of heckling stuff, and I'm thinking of good takedowns. I'm like, because I've never had a heckler before. I've never done one of these takedowns.
I love hecklers. I live for
and like,
that.
I want a bit of banter. I want a bit of that kind of. I'm hyping myself up.
Yeah.
He doesn't say a fucking word, and my set went kind of lousy. Like, I was getting a few nervous laughs, as I usually do. But people weren't really giving me. Like, and I was like, I'm kind of bombing. And I was like, okay, I'll just get through. Because usually, if I don't get a laugh, I'm just straight through the next joke. But I make eye contact with this guy, and he's just going like this.
What the fuck?
Like, and I was stunned. I was like, worst heckle I've ever gotten.
I reckon it was? I reckon he was being a funny cunt, though. I reckon he was like, dude, have you seen Deer Hunter?
Yeah. I think he was just basically saying... he was saying...
a Deer Hunter. He was just a Deer Hunter fan.
Nah, he was saying you're dying on stage, basically. But that blew... for 10 seconds, I was like... Nah. He was... I like the guy because he was actually seeing comedy on a Friday night, and that's more than you can say for 99.8% of Adelaide, so he's a good bloke.
At least he wasn't watching it on YouTube, I guess.
Yeah. Well, he'd probably be one of the ones yelling at the screen if he's watching it on YouTube.
And he might...
It's not funny!
He might have possibly seen Deer Hunter one too many times.
Yeah. Good film. It's a real... it's uplifting.
Actually, ultimately, yes.
Yeah.
There are points in it where they're very dark and touching on, obviously, war subjects. But you're actually dead right.
Yeah. Well, I say to
Good
people, because a lot of people, because I'm a bit of a film buff, and people.
Oh, mate, me too.
I can tell this guy's got all the Star Trek films, and I don't know what the fuck Boomerang is, but.
Mate, that's great. Eddie Murphy.
Oh, Eddie Murphy. Oh, well, there you go. I liked him in Beverly Hills Cop, and he's one of the great comics of the United States. But
he's done 2 of the best fucking stand-up videos ever.
Yeah. He was one of the few
Raw
comics.
and Delirious.
Yeah, Raw and Delirious. He was one of the few comics they actually put in movie theaters. You don't see that anymore.
And for an R-rated set?
Yeah. Wow. I think Raw broke a bunch of box office records for like a performance.
Mate, it still does.
Yeah.
DVD sales. Yeah. I think they put it on Blu-ray too, and Ultra K now, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah. I remember watching them on Netflix. They were popular. That was a few years ago, but they, 20 years on, they were still so popular.
I didn't even know it was on Netflix, mate. My memory of it is watching it on DVD and VHS.
Different generations. Although I still collect DVDs though, so that's how much of a film buff I am. So when people they're going through some stuff, they're like, no, I've got my mother has cancer in the hospital, and I'm just like, well, if you want to take your mind off it, Deer Hunter, Schindler's List, Cannibal Holocaust, these are just good feel good films.
Cannibal Holocaust is uplifting.
Yeah. Well,
sometimes when I need uplifting,
it distracts you.
You're dying of cancer. Like, these guys are at war with cannibals.
Yeah.
And they're zombies. You think, what are you going through?
Because yesterday you were thinking, is Mum going to make it through the week? And then today you're thinking, was that actually a fucking snuff film? Like, fuck. Shit. You've got bigger problems now.
Oh, fuck. Oh, no.
Potentially for life. Anyway.
One thing I wanted to ask you, bro. Which comedians are you most influenced by, man? In what you do, man?
I think my biggest influence as a kid was not even, or this guy did a bit of stand-up, but Jim Carrey I was so enamored with because, of course, I was of the generation of all his movies were on TV all the time. And I wanted to be Jim Carrey, and I used to like practice in the mirror trying to, because the facial muscles, I think that's
very animated.
He's so animated, and he must have like, because you can build all those muscles. There's a lot of exercises you can do, and I kind of stopped doing them, but I think that you got to be really expressive, and you know.
Mate, actually, I can relate to that. I'm pretty sure at one point, as a young boy, I watched Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
And I just imitate like Ace Ventura. My mum banned me. Like, no more Ace Ventura. No more. You're not Jim Carrey.
and you just went, right here. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And all that. All the animated shit he did. Yeah, mate, he is one of the best comics. And, mate, he is someone that, like most of them, a lot of people don't know, he started out in stand-up.
He did do stand-up before he was on in Living Colour.
He slugged it out for years, man, before he even got onto a TV show.
Yeah.
So for comics out there, to put the hard work in, you got to do stand-up for years and years, just slug it out. And if you do it right and you do some funny shit and bring something new to it, people are going to catch on, man. And
then stubby holder companies will be knocking at your door and saying, listen, endorsement deals.
What we got going on.
Yeah, we're sponsored.
When your funny comes
we're
like us.
We're the athletes of the comedy world, you know.
That's it. Always kicking goals and shooting holes.
Jim Carrey. I used to watch the Melbourne International Comedy Festival Gala they did on Channel 10.
That was always good.
All the comics, they get 5 minutes to promote their show. So they do like their best joke and then say, if you want to see the rest, you come down to the fucking SB or whatever.
I got inspired by a lot of that.
Like Will Anderson, I used to really like. He's not that funny anymore. He's a bit, I think, just detached because, you know, he's always... I think that's the thing I would be afraid of if I actually became famous, is that if you're doing comedy all the time, then all your jokes are about kind of a bit detached from working class life, so they're less relatable.
Okay,
and I think with a lot of comics, you see that happening where it's suddenly like, oh, you know, I was in my LA mansion. That's an extreme example, but it's like shit. Like Will Anderson did a whole joke, and the whole thing is like he went to fuck some chick after his show. And she was like a bit of a hippie. she was a bit weird, like, you know, she lived in the country. I was like, wow, man, that's, you know, I just, you know, couldn't believe it, man. It's hilarious. It's too good. But Will Anderson, he was quite clever, his stuff. And I'm trying to think, because there's a lot of British comics that I just can't remember their names, but, you know, they had a funny accent. I don't think
Bill Bailey's not too bad.
He's great. He's really great.
He's probably one of the better ones.
And he's good because he does musical comedy, and I have so much respect for musical comics.
Yeah, same, man.
Yeah.
That's always close art to me, being a musician as well.
Yeah.
You know, like obviously with Strange Carl, I started out doing song parodies and outside of comedy, I'm in a band as well. So musical comedy I relate well with, man.
Yeah. It's just you should try and do some on the stage, because I think that it's just adds so much more. Well, I've never seen you perform music.
I've done a very small amount.
Okay, yeah.
Like kind of a cappella, like just throwing out, like changing the lyrics, but it hasn't been much. But you're right, man. I'll take that on board.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun. So, alright, so who in your opinion do you reckon is absolutely killing it on the local comedy scene at the moment?
Oh, that's a hard question, because I don't remember anyone's names.
I have the same problem.
Yeah, I have like 2 comics that I want to name right now, but I fucking can't remember them. Oh man, this is one thing I try to prepare.
Well, what's the one that comes to mind though?
I really like Jacob Jackman. He's good.
He's very offbeat.
And his stuff is a bit smarter.
Yeah.
And Alex Green as well. He's quite good. I don't know. I haven't seen him in a while, but his stuff is a bit more cerebral, which I like.
Nice.
And I've seen him bomb horribly because he's done really complicated jokes. He did one about like a 1996 Honda Civic, and how that would go against like a fucking Stegosaurus or something like that. But the way he got there was so insanely dense, and I loved it. I laughed like the whole thing. But other people are just like, this is a lot of work. I don't know where this is going, man. Like it was like, it's just ridiculous. It's just a good joke. Yeah,
you got to get lost in the ridiculousness of jokes. I find if people can't get lost in the silliness of it, then they're not going to get it.
Oh yeah. Also, Brad Hollis is probably my favorite Adelaide comedian.
Wow.
Because he actually inspired me to start doing stand-up, because he's...
Really? Okay, interesting.
He's quite popular now because he's got this big Facebook page doing like AFL kind of jokes and stuff. But I used to watch him back in 2015. I was still in high school, and he was doing all these sketches with his mates, and they would just be them like smoking weed and then having stupid conversations. And me and my mates who also would smoke weed and have stupid conversations would find it the funniest shit in the world. And then he deleted all this stuff off YouTube. And then 3 years later, we saw him at a show at, it was down at the fucking by the River Torrens, some festival thing. Because they had this thing where they'd have stand-up comics open up movies. So they had comedy movies. Like they had Superbad on, which is a good movie. It's a good movie. Yeah, but Brad Hollis did half an hour to open. And me and my mate went there, and we like meet him afterwards, and we start referencing all these fucking YouTube videos that he did years ago. And his eyes are like, what the? It's like,
you know about that?
Like, that's a past. I thought I had escaped. You know, I left behind. Like,
he's like X-ray on the YouTube videos.
And some of those were pretty. You know, I won't expose Brad, but some of them are pretty raunchy. Like
raunchy.
Oh well, you know, there's a lot of
I'll check him out. I raunchy stuff.
Yeah. No, pretty good though. But his stuff is really good. His stand-up I find so funny because it's so dry. I'm a big fan of dry humour. I try to do my jokes.
Yeah.
I try and do stuff, and it's a bit riskier when you do dry stuff where the joke isn't really the punchline. It's like just an uncomfortableness that you kind of are present. It's hard.
Yeah, man. Exactly.
Yeah. Like where you do with Strange Carl, I've tried to do a bit of character work where my joke it's in my personality as well. Yeah, it's more than that, but yeah.
Trying to make an extension of your character sort of thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
So that adds to the joke, and that's very hard tonally, especially when all your jokes are about different things, to try and weave them together. And if you're not 100% yourself, you're trying to act as well. Because I used to do a lot of acting as well for years. So
there's so much to it, isn't there? The expression of how you're putting it, the tone of your voice that you're using as you're telling the joke as well.
And as we were talking about before the show here, we were talking about moving around and motion and stuff. And that's so hard to get right. That's something I struggle with, is when you're pacing and trying to use your physicality to make the joke funnier. Hey, you know, Italians are quite good with this. But
I think I did that almost too much, to be honest. I almost need to tone it back.
Yeah. Because it can be distracting if you move around on stage too much.
Yeah, exactly. I think, and then there's a comfortable medium of making the crowd comfortable, but keeping them entertained at the same time, and not making them bored, and making an animated, or giving them a show, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think I got one more for you before we go, guys. So just leaving us, Jackson, out of your personal repertoire, do you mind leaving us with your favourite joke? What do you have like in your repertoire, like a favourite joke that you got that kind of goes pretty well every time, and leaving us with that?
My jokes are like, some of them are quite kind of animated and stuff, but one joke I used to always, like, I've got a couple jokes, but these are my two openers. I'll just tell you my openers, because the first one I used to always open with was...
Lovely.
I was dating an environmentalist recently. You know, she was Save the Whales and all that. And, you know, sometimes in a relationship you need to take a step back and kind of reevaluate things and think, is this really the person for me? And I think that moment hit me when we'd just blown up our third coal-fired power station together. And I was thinking, shit, things are moving fast. You know, I haven't even met her parents yet. And
you're already blowing shit up.
We're already eco-terrorists. I mean, yeah. Fuck, man. It's like one Greenpeace meeting and then this. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So you got to get out, see this guy. He's funny.
Yeah, I will be at Cranker Comedy on September 6th, I think.
Beautiful.
So,
I was going to say, you should plug any shows that you got coming up.
Yeah,
awesome.
Well, there you go, Cranker, September 6th.
Jackson Grant, everyone, get on it. If you haven't heard of him, get on. Have you got a Facebook and?
I was going to talk about this. I have a YouTube channel called Super Baked Onion, which I've done.
Get on it.
Before I did stand up, I started doing stand up 2020. I've been doing sketch comedy on YouTube for a few years as well.
Oh, excellent!
And we did this one. So I started probably about 2017, but back in 2016, we did this really funny video where there was a thing down at Glenelg, and it was called eye gazing. And it's these people that believe if you go down and you meet with a stranger and you stare into their eyes for like 10 minutes, because most of even in conversation, you know, you look away, you avert your eyes.
You do.
But if you make eye contact, they say like you'll have this feeling, like you'll feel different, you'll feel more connected, even to strangers, complete strangers. And so this guy, right, was down, and we thought this sounds like fucking bullshit. This sounds like absolute twaddle. So we went down like dressed as hippies with like tie-dye shirts and stuff on and like headbands on. And we went and we just went there like having a drum circle, like me and 3 other blokes, like. And this was hilarious because we had this guy who had never filmed anything before in his life, and we see him and we're like, he's like, I was up at Victor Harbour, I haven't got any sleep, and I was up all night doing snow cones, which is where you put like weed and put a bunch of like Zach's shit on it. So
I think I've actually done a few snow cones in my time, Jack. When I was your age.
Yeah. So this guy did an all-nighter, and the footage we got is like all fucking shaky cam and shit. But the stunts we're doing were fucking hilarious. So firstly, we're doing this drum circle, and this guy, because his wife runs it, and he was saying, so my wife's in Sydney, and I'm like touring around organising these eye-gazing events, just to, you know, I don't know, it wasn't even collecting money, so it was just I guess a hobby thing, or she'd forced him to do it. He looked like pretty bored. But anyway, so we went there first with drum circle and kind of harassing him, and we tried our eye gazing, and it was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And my mate, you know, he's staring into the eyes of this really like cute girl, and I'm like with this kind of like fat older guy, and he's like breathing heavily and going, and I'm like, well, you know, maybe eye gazing is not for me. He's enjoying it. I'm not really enjoying it. I don't know why, but we went back afterwards, and my mate, we had a bandage like wrapped around his eyes and had like fake blood and shit, like he'd lost his eyes in an accident. And he's like, oh man, eye gazing was my favourite thing before the accident. Like, look at him. This guy who's running it immediately is like, no, you've got to leave right now. You gotta leave. And I'm like, oh dude, this is golden, man. This is golden. And unfortunately, this great prank of him running around, he couldn't even see either because we wrapped around the bandages so much, and he's running around going, my eyes. And then we get it back, this great stunt, and we just got this fucking shaky cam, like fucking, whoa, yeah, this is hilarious, yeah.
But you got fuck all on it.
Yeah, we kind of got it, but my mate who I did it with refuses to let me upload it to YouTube, so maybe one day, but that is still the fun. We've done a few sketches. He has, but he's very self-conscious, I think, you know, because, well, we were in high school when we did this, so he was still, you know, teenagers, you know, but yeah.
That's fucking awesome. Anyway, Jackson Grant, get on it, get on his social media.
Yep.
And fucking cheers.
Cheers to Tommy's Adelaide podcast, episode 3.
Fucking A.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for coming on, mate.
Oh, thanks for having me.